I am excited for our first segment. We're talking mindset, and you brought up a video that we're going to showcase in a moment. I'm going to kick it over to you to really set this up. But if you are a chiropractor out there watching and you are looking for maybe that little bit of extra motivation, inspiration, a new way to think about building, growing, and developing your practice that's actually built on the tenets as old as time, this video is going to be for you. Jason, you brought this up. I'll let you set it up. Then we'll get into a fantastic video by Seth Godin.
Yeah, I want people to realize, if you're looking for something to do over the next few days, this book right here, easy, fast, it's even small, not a big size book, not very thick. One of the best gifts you can give yourself this year. Why? Because in my opinion, what Seth Godin is doing to marketing is what you do to healthcare. Okay, I'm going to say it again. What Seth Godin will teach you about marketing, what Seth Godin will teach you about marketing is the same type of idea of what you teach people about healthcare. And that is a different way to think about it. Your mindset matters. If you think that you're just the type of chiropractor that's just an expensive aspirin because the aspirin didn't work or whatever opioid or narcotic, that you're just a replacement for something else that exists, you have a very different philosophy than if you're the type of chiropractor that believes that you do something different. And that philosophy and your expression of that philosophy will absolutely have everything to do with your practice success, and most importantly, with your fulfillment in practice, both financially, emotionally, every way you can measure and want. So Jeff and I have been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. It's been actually one of the collateral benefits of us doing this show. And if you do your own show, you'll find the same positive benefit, which is we get back to learning. We get back to looking for those things that inspire us, that move the needle, that shift our mind. This book is one of those things. So we're going to play a few minutes of Seth himself so you can hear it from the source that inspires us, that guides us, the payday practice, and much of what we're doing in the years to come. Our product, our service, our coaching, our program is very much based on this philosophy. Jeff, let's hit the tape.
We must do it as a team. And it's when teams work together that we create value. So this new economy, this connection economy, what's it based on? Here are some basic principles. The first thing is coordination. You're all here today. None of you were in this room a week ago. None of you will be here next week. Value was created by coordinating our efforts. Number two is trust. There's someone sitting behind you or in front of you, and you trust them enough to talk to them. You trust them enough to be in the room. You don't even know them, but you know that they're fellow travelers. The next idea is permission, which we just talked about. The privilege of delivering messages to people who want to get them. And the fourth element of this economy is sharing ideas. All of us are smarter than any of us. So if you think about what you do all day, how many of these four elements are at the heart of what you do? Because the institutions that are growing and the organizations that are profiting are right in the center of that. But here's the surprising part. The surprising part is these four principles are based on two words, two concepts, two principles: generosity and art. Generosity, because no one wants to connect to a selfish person. No one wants to connect to an organization that's just taking. And art is what we call it when a human being does something that connects us. When a human being does something that might not work. When a human being says, here, I made this. Art begs for connection. And that's what we seek out. Not the reliable sameness of perfection in Six Sigma, but the art of knowing someone touched it. So before I started ranting, you may have thought what marketing meant is things like likes and clicks and how many people are following you and hype. No, actually marketing is more like what does it cost and what's the story. And actually marketing is what you support and you use. Actually, marketing is now what you make. It is as far from advertising as it can be. What marketing is is, what is this thing? What is the experience of this service? What are the side effects it leaves behind? What does it mean to be associated with this? Let me crystallize this in the simplest way I can. Here's the question. The first person with a fax machine, what exactly did he do with it? I'll let you think about that for a second. You can't use a fax machine by yourself. Built into the fax machine is the engine of the marketing of the fax machine. As soon as you got one, you know what you did? You told everyone else you knew to go get one, so your fax machine would work better, right? That's built into Twitter and Facebook and everything else that's based on community. Bob Metcalfe, he's not shy, coined Metcalfe's Law. And Metcalfe's Law says the value of any network is the square of the power of the people on the network. So we are now in the business of building networks, not in the business of building widgets, because widgets are cheap and easy to make. Networks last a long time, and they're hard to build. Next big idea. My wife has transportation narcolepsy, which is a fictional disease she got shortly after we got married. This disease causes her to fall asleep on any moving vehicle, unless there's a good movie on the plane. That's how I know it's fictional. Anyway, 15 years ago, we planned a trip to France, and we missed a flight, and we missed another flight and a connection, and it ended up taking about 17 hours. And for 17 hours, my kids have been making a ruckus. And for 17 hours, my wife has been asleep. So we're driving through this pasture in France. It's a beautiful sunny day, and it's, cows and all that other stuff. And I noticed in the back seat, it's finally quiet. And I go, phew, the kids are asleep. And then I look in the rearview mirror. They're not asleep. They're staring out the window at this perfect specimen of a cow for about 3 seconds. And then they went back to making a ruckus. You know why? Because cows are boring. Even in Finland, cows are boring. Seeing 1 cow, 5 cows, 10 cows, they're all the same. We don't need to see more cows. But what if it had been a purple cow? That was a special effect. I'll do it slowly. What if it had been a purple cow? If it had been a purple cow, I'll tell you what would have happened. I would have pulled over. My wife would have woken up. What's going on? She would have got on the phone, called people back home, told them she was looking at a purple cow. I would have taken pictures to prove that I'd seen a purple cow. And my kids would have ignored me as usual, opened the door, run across the street, jumped over the fence, and rubbed the cow. So that when they went to show and tell in 2 weeks, they could tell people they'd seen and touched a purple cow. You know what a purple cow is? Only one thing, remarkable. And remarkable means worth making a remark about. It is not up to you. It's up to us about whether we're going to remark about what you made. And if we remark about what you made, you know what happens? The spam filters all go away. The remote controls don't matter. The word spreads. The network builds. You gain trust and connection. So, how much time are you spending making something worth talking about, as opposed to meeting spec? You have been to this meeting where the sales guy says, whoa, we just need to lower our price, because if we're the cheapest, we'll be able to grow. Fortunately, the CFO speaks up and she says, don't do that, that's a race to the bottom. And the problem with a race to the bottom is we might win. Worse, we might come in second. That doesn't help. So some wise guy says, all right, let's raise the price a few bucks. Because if we raise the price a few bucks, our margins will go up. But the head of marketing says, can't do that. Our customers aren't stupid. They're not going to pay extra for the same thing. The only option is to be the only one. When you are the only one, people will cross the street. People will wait in line. People will proudly talk about what they bought from you. The price isn't the point. But how can you possibly be the only one? The answer is we must go back to understand how the legend of Icarus, the myth of Icarus, got under our skin. You may have heard it. Daedalus and Icarus, banished to an island. Daedalus makes a bunch of wings out of feathers he finds on the island. He affixes them to Icarus's back, and he says, my son, fly away, but don't fly too high, because the sun will melt the wax and you will die. Icarus disobeys his father, flies too high, he dies. What is this myth about? It is about obeying your father. It is about doing what you are told. It is about not getting uppity. It's about the opposite of hubris. The astonishing thing about this story is they changed it in 1850. If you look in the library and look in the old books, that's not what the myth used to say. What it used to say is all of what I just told you, plus the following sentence. More important, my son, do not fly too low, because if you fly too low, the mist and the waves will weigh down your wings and you will surely perish.
All right, kicking it off with some Seth Godin talking mindset here on the Smart Chiropractor Show. Tons of take-home messages there, Jason. Maybe showcase one or two highlights for you as we watch that. I know a lot of what he talked about is in some of the books, the book you showed earlier in various forms and concepts. What are some of those hard-hitting messages that you take away from that short clip?
You know, three things really come up to me on that just one clip, and we'll put the link down below so you can watch the entire hour. It's worth it. Number one, he started off that segment by talking about how it really takes a team. You know, if you watch the entire video, you know, he'll make the point that no single person knows how to make a computer mouse. You know, they don't know the plastics and the electronics and the marketing and everything that goes along with producing something. It takes a team. And so one of the things I first think about is that's what we do. We're your team. We're the team that works for you and with your team on location in order for you to achieve that. That was the first one. The second one that I liked a lot was when he talked about the purple cow. We might want to coin the term the purple chiropractor, because the real question is, you know, what are you saying that's unique and different that's going to get people who drive by dozens, if not hundreds of signs that say the word chiropractor, just like you, what's going to get them to stop and pay attention to you? Not just any chiropractor, not just the closest, cheapest chiropractor, but you in particular. So I love the way he sort of, you know, illustrates that. It's obvious once you see it in that kind of frame of reference. And then I love the way he really extrapolates out this concept of, you know, potentially winning the race to the bottom, or even worse, coming in second place. That's really what, you know, you and I have been talking about for quite a while now as it relates to the profession and the mindset that we have been lulled into believing is true, that marketing is advertising and that it only works if you've got a measurable return on investment of how much money you put in and how much money you got out in a very short, specific period of time. What you'll get from all of what Seth Godin is talking about is that just like medicine is likely something different to you than it is the rest of the world, marketing is something different to us than it is for the rest of the world as well. So as you continue to sort of learn what's your message, who are your people, what's your purple thing, what makes you unique and different, that gets into what he talks about, generosity and art. Are you willing to be generous and give it away, share it? As I learned at Life University in Dynamic Essentials, how to give out of a sense of abundance. And are you being artful? Are you sharing, as he talked about, the outcomes, the reasons? And if you were to summarize all the things that Seth has been talking about in terms of, you know, how do you answer the question, what is marketing? He summarizes it by simply saying this sentence, this phrase: people like us do things like this. People like us do things like this. You mentioned Metcalfe's Law and building networks and connection and the social influences of people making decisions, as opposed to the discounts and the deals and the numbers and the data and this being the same as everybody else. So dig in. I think it's one of the most valuable things you can learn and listen to at the end of this year in order to create a compelling 2022. That gives you an insight as to where our team is coming from, how we think, how we approach our marketing / generous gift of art, and hopefully what you want to join us on next year. Because, Jeff, actually, I'll kick it, to you to answer sort of the question as we dig down. That statement is so significant because, you have to answer two things. Number one, who are people like us? And two, what is it that people like us do? So maybe let's make this segment real. In your opinion, who are people like us? You could do your version, I'll do my version, because part of the beauty is that, we do come from different places in a beautiful way. And yet, as different of a place we can come to, the people like us often will do the same types of things. So let me kick it over to you and get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's a great question, Jason. My thought is people like us are chiropractors out there, looking to build and grow their practices in a way that they can be proud of at the base level. They're individuals who are proud to be chiropractors. They're people who love teaching the benefits of chiropractic care, of movement, of everything that we know leads to a high quality life, as chiropractors. Getting out there, teaching that, getting your hands on people, that is really what I view as the individuals who are like us, passionate day in and day out, showing up, trying to improve. To me, that's really the number one delineating factor of sort of our tribe of individuals. And I think we see it right here in this group, the Smart Chiropractor group, where we have people that practice just about every chiropractic technique under the sun, and we have such a wide variety of philosophical applications of chiropractic, but the core tenets remain the same. It's a group of docs out there showing up day after day, doing what they can to improve the health of their community. And while not everybody has every tool, and that's why we have the Smart Chiropractor to help that process, to teach at the highest level possible, everybody has that desire to be a little bit better, to learn a little bit more clinically. And that's why we have clinical conversations and a host of guests, etc. And a little bit better on the marketing side and an interest in learning more. You might not want to do it all day, every day. However, there's that interest, there's that spark, because that leads to a bigger impact in your community. And I think as chiropractors, service providers in communities, yes, there are these big national chains, and we know some of those individuals as well. But for most docs out there, it's really digging into a community, making an impact, getting to know the other business owners, building connections and bridges, and improving the quality of life of those individuals who walk through your front door. And any little bit that you can have as an edge on your treatments, on your care, is advantageous. And certainly anything you can do on marketing, as we think about it, is impactful as well. It's not only a differentiator in many ways, but it ultimately yields better results. What are your thoughts, Jason?
I think you're right on. You said that perfectly. People like us are people who are professionals, right? Health professionals who have dedicated our lives to learning a specific skill, namely communication and adjusting, and the art of chiropractic, and have a desire to really want to make a difference in people's lives. I would like to think of it that, you're serving based on inspiration, not desperation, that you've got your needs met. I'm not saying, you live on the biggest house and drive every car you want to drive and take every vacation or fly private. I'm saying that you can go to work, you can be of service to other people with a spirit of being generous to help them, because your needs are met and handled. That you don't have to make recommendations for care based on what you need, maybe your financial stress and so on, but you can really do what Jeff said, which is to be generous and to share what you know, because you know it will be a benefit to others. And so if that makes sense to you, if you're like us, that's why we're doing what we're doing. And it's exactly why you should be doing what you should be doing if you're like us. So people like us do things like this to us means that you understand the value of staying well aligned, aka getting adjusted on a regular basis. You get that that's a lifestyle, not just an event. And two, that you have a spirit of wanting to share that with as many people as you possibly can. And that's what drives you. Imagine, I guess the litmus test is if you did win the lottery, or, at least didn't have to work for the money, what would change about your life? Granted, maybe you get a new house, maybe you get a new car, maybe you take another vacation or two, maybe you fund your kids' education or weddings or other things that are financial responsibilities. But what would really change about you? Would you quit your job? Would you go do what you really want to do? Or would it put you in a place that you go, great, now that I've got everything handled, I can actually serve more. I can actually show up bigger. I can actually afford to be even more generous because my needs are met. And if that spirit sounds like you, then you're like us. And the things we do are focusing on the discipline of every month every week, every day, making a positive impact, putting a pebble into the pond of this social media machine with the understanding and expectations, very much like the concept of, the dynamic wings that flap in China that create a hurricane in New York, that you understand the principles of physics, quantum physics, and the ability you have to make a difference in the world, that you're willing to show up each and every day and do something. That's really what it's all about. We're going to help make it as easy as possible for you to do the mundane stuff, the research, the graphics, the posting, the day-to-day grind stuff, so that you've got the freedom to go, great, I know what I'm talking about. I know who my audience is. I know what I'm supposed to be saying. I can just show up and give them my best and not fall victim to what most of the profession does, which is basically paralysis by analysis. You get so caught up in what should I say? Do I have the right mic? Do I have the right everything? That you end up doing much of nothing. So that's our message for you today here on the Mindset Mentor. That's what we're going to be doing each and every week here ourselves. And that's what we're going to be inviting you to get into the habit of thinking and doing if you want to make 2022 your best year yet.
And that is why we start with mindset each and every week. It is powerful and it sets the stage really for the rest of our show. Hey, if you like that video, be sure to subscribe to the Smart Chiropractor. We are posting videos on how you can market your chiropractic practice in a way that teach and invites consistently. We have found that is the magic formula to big time growth. So if you like this video, be sure to comment down below, smash that subscribe button, or visit us at thesmartchiropractor.com.